Glass Onion was phenomenal. I am so stoked that I got to see that movie. Hi, my name's Andrew Dunn. I'm a co-host of the podcast The Media Lunch Break. I'm an expert in licensing. I have my master's in acting, and I would like to talk a little bit about Glass Onion and the Seven Samurai of all things. By the way, we're about to spoil the ever-living out of Glass Onion and probably the Seven Samurai. I mean, that movie is a little bit older than Glass Onion, but if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it, both of them. If you haven't seen either of them, you should watch them right now. I love them both, and I'm going to talk about some of the comparisons I found between the two. So here we go. You've been warned. Get out of here if you don't want spoilers. I mean, the movie's been out for a couple months, but, go see it. It's good. It's really good. I liked it a lot. But that's not what this video is about. Let's get to it. On its surface, Akira Kurosawa's The Seven Samurai seems like it's about overcoming adversity against all odds. And it is, eventually. But the first half of the film is just about introducing the characters and differentiating them from each other. You end up having essentially 6 samurai and a wild card. You see, Akira Kurosawa understood the assignment. He knows that if you don't have characters, you don't have a story. So he spends a lot of time nurturing, growing that seed so that you can really understand these characters before you see them go through the things that they're going to go through. And I'm beginning to absolutely think that The Seven Samurai was a huge inspiration to Rian Johnson, just sort of in general, but specifically and especially to this film, Glass Onion. You see, Glass Onion got a lot of criticism for taking a very, very long time to get to the mystery, what it's actually about. But you'll find that you only feel that way if you think that what it's actually about is the mystery. It's not. Glass Onion is about the characters, in the same way that Knives Out was about the characters. In order to give a damn about this entire thing, you have to understand who these people are. You have to see their strengths, their weaknesses. You have to understand what makes them tick, find their passions. And because we're seeing this film through the eyes of Detective Blanc, we're seeing things the way he sees them, and he is trying to establish who these people are. He's trying to find a motive, he's trying to find opportunity, he's trying to get to know them, he's trying to get them to slip up. The more they talk, the more he knows, and the more he can figure out what the truth is. So it isn't that it took a long time to get to the story, the characters are the story. In the same way that in The Seven Samurai, the characters are the story. The Seven Samurai essentially wrote the book on assembling a team. Every single movie you've ever seen that assembles a team, Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, I'm kidding, but you get the idea. They all are doing what the movie The Seven Samurai did first. They're introducing you to these characters and showing you what their strengths and weaknesses are. That way you can see why it's so important to have each and every single one of them on this team. Where one fails, the other one can pick up the slack. And that happens specifically in Glass Onion as well, where one character has a weakness, another character has their strength. Look, for example, at Duke Cody, who's played by Dave Bautista. He's wild and frivolous, doing all sorts of crazy shit. And then compare him to Lionel. He's a total opposite. They're total opposites from each other. They both have their strengths, they both have their weaknesses, but their strengths and their weaknesses are opposites of each other, in the same way that Birdie J is very different from Lionel as well. She leans closer in similarity to Duke Cody, but she's still very different from him as well. Not to mention the politician, played by Kathryn Hahn. They're all incredibly unique and individual people. They would all have different motives, different opportunities. They would all go about murdering somebody differently. They would have a different line in the sand where okay, this is too far, I need to take this person out. It's up to Blanc and us as the audience who are seeing the film through Blanc's eyes to figure out where that line is for each of those characters. It's exactly the reason that Suicide Squad did so badly and The Suicide Squad did so well. I can't believe I had to say that sentence. The first Suicide Squad film tries really, really hard to assemble a team, but it spends about 10 minutes on it, and it just shows you dossiers on who the people are. That's it. That's what you get. And then they're shoved into a room together, and now it's time for them to save the world. But that's not assembling a team, right? If you want to assemble a team like that, you have to really look at why they need to be there, especially in the case of a group like the Suicide Squad, who it's they're on death row anyway or whatever. Why? Why even trust them with any of this? You need a legitimate reason that there is no way this team could work without every single one of those characters. If not, the entire thing falls apart. But this is a movie about Glass Onion, so let's get back to it. Glass Onion is meticulous in setting up the characters for a specific reason, I think, and I'm going to let you in on what that is. So again, spoilers for this film. This is the third time you've been warned. Halfway into the film, something happens, a character gets shot, and we see the entire film from her perspective. You see, for example, Helen throw a tape recorder into Birdie's purse. If you go back and watch the movie again, you can see her doing that in the background. At the end of the film, we find out that right after killing Duke Cody, Miles took Duke's phone and his gun. If you go back and watch the movie again, you can see the exact moments where he takes Duke's gun, where he takes Duke's phone. You can even see the phone in his back pocket for like half the movie. You can also, like they point out to you, you can go back and watch it and see that he directly hands Duke a glass while he's telling Duke to watch one of the other characters.
Wow, look at that dress fit. Birdie, that's amazing. Just.
And this is where we get to my point. It is so important to set up characters correctly, meticulously, and with a lot of love and time. The actors are doing such a good job that the movie is practically screaming to you who the murderer is, and you can't hear it because you're just focused on the actors. When everyone's scrambling around looking for Duke's cell phone, you don't think to look in Ed Norton's back pocket. When Miles hugs Duke after Duke tells him how many views he's got on his stream, you don't think to watch as he takes the gun out of Duke's holster. And when Helen throws a tape recorder into Birdie's purse, you're not looking there because it's in the background. Kate Hudson is in the foreground and you're looking at that pretty face. And they do something genius in that particular scene, which is that Kate Hudson's character Birdie is aloof and frivolous and eccentric the entire time, but the camera is hyper-focused on her and she's given a hell of a monologue about her life. And you want to hear it! You want to listen to what she has to say because you like that character. You like these characters. Even if you hate them, you fucking love them. And that, my friends, is the beauty of this film. If they set up the characters well enough, you just don't notice the other things in the movie. There are so many things in this film telling you who did it, and you just don't see them because you're focused on what the characters are saying and what they're doing because you're interested in them now. They're not even the most famous people in this film. There's like 20 other more famous people in it who have like 1-minute cameos. But man, are they doing a good job. All right, I know this movie's getting a lot of criticism at like opposite ends of the spectrum. A lot of people really love it. A lot of people really hate it. I absolutely adored it. I think the character work is so good, and I think it's important to the story that the character work is good. If the characters weren't interesting and you're like sort of thinking like, I don't really give a shit about this, I'm gonna look in the background, you'll see who it is. It'll be ruined for you. You'll pick up on all the clues. But because you're trying to watch the characters to get the clues that you think are coming out of their mouths, you miss them. And it's so good. It gives it so much more replay value. I watched it again a second time and I was like, they fucking did all of this right in plain sight. It's the purloined letter. If you don't know what the purloined letter is, look it up. It's basically, it's hiding in plain sight. So yeah, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. Maybe I'm like super far off on this. I think it's a fantastic film. I think it's a fantastic film because it sets up these characters so well. But let me know what you think in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you have anything that you would like to add to this? I know I didn't compare it too heavily to The Seven Samurai, but I think if you watch them both, like one and then the other, which honestly would be your entire day, so make sure you drink a lot of water, I think you'll find there's a ton of similarities in the characters. So this has been my video on Glass Onion. Thank you so much for watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. Give us a like and a subscribe if you did. If not, that's fine too. I don't give a shit.